Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fire Out podcast. I'm Coach Jeff, co-founder of Youth Football Online. We're excited to have Coach Matt join our podcast. Coach, tell everyone a little bit about yourself and what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on, Jeff. Definitely been great getting to know you over the years on all the social channels on Facebook and Instagram and all these great channels that we have in common. Yeah, so I've coached youth football for, gosh, almost a decade. Been a athletic director, been a head coach, been offensive coordinator from 8U all the way to 14U. Um, the few people that might know me out there might know me from my Air Raid channel, um, where I put out a lot of like consolidated. Here's how to run the air raid for the youth, from youth through middle school and kind of up to like the JV level of high school. And most recently, I've kind of put that on the back burner so I could start using this tool that we created so coaches could get to so coaches can teach their players more effectively. Essentially, an interactive whiteboard where coaches can draw up plays and concepts versus offensive concepts versus defensive concepts on an interactive whiteboard on their computers. And then what happens is the players can go home and study that, but it turns it into a game on their phone, like almost like John Madden type of football game, so they can actually learn through gameplay. So that's kind of what I'm focused on right now, and but I'm always down to talk football and excited to be here with you.
Yeah, it's awesome. Your first episode. I gotta get
Yes.
Coach Matt on here. Let's talk some passing concepts. Let's talk some air raid.
I definitely appreciate you having me on. Being the fact that it is the off season and 7-on-7 season is kicked in big time. Flag season is kicked in big time. My focus is on helping coaches that run, an air raid style offense or a spread style offense get the most out of it. Because I think, Jeff, a lot of times, you get to the off season and a lot of these coaches that coach 7-on-7 and tackle, they want to compete in these tournaments, right? And if you run your tackle stuff like we all want to and we think we should as true tackle coaches, a lot of times you're not competing in these tournaments because these other programs that maybe run 7-on-7 year round or run these flag teams year round, the concepts they're running aren't exactly tackle tackle friendly concepts. So
Altered for 7-on-7.
exactly. And some of them would never work in a tackle game. So I've given in to some degree, like, okay, let's just look at this as like, this is two different games, two different styles of play. But, you know, at the same time, I think there's value in still running your core concepts and you making some adjustments to the concept. So yes, maybe you can still go through your reads and teach those year round, but then also maybe add some wrinkles that can be used and compete in these tournaments
I
because
mean, listen, I coach 7-on-7. I got all my skill kids out. But at the end of the day, we want to win that too. So we want a concept. We're gonna run what we're gonna run in the fall, but we want to win too. We're not showing up to that's part of the mentality we want to instill in our kids too. So and then the only difference with 7-on-7, really, I think the biggest challenge is the spacing for some of these concepts. I mean, most 7-on-7 fields are shorter, so you kind of lose the proper spacing.
right,
When you're doing these routes. That's the only knock I really have in regards to 7-on-7, scheme wise, is kind of the spacing. The
yeah,
kids don't understand how wide the field actually is. If you're putting trips to the field, you're probably not going to put it to the boundary in 11-on-11. So it's like, I mean, you can, but you know what I'm saying.
yeah, usually don't, right?
Yeah.
And so,
Usually.
yeah, some of the rules are kind of twisted or broken. So, there is one concept actually that, so when we run these air raid camps and clinics, and when people buy the air raid bundle from me from playerbook.com, the youth and middle school one, for the tackle season, while we do have Y cross in there, I don't really run Y cross at the middle school level and below because it takes a lot of time for this concept
Mhm.
to develop. Okay, and this is truly a standard flood concept, and it's a weak side flood. So we're going to read the field on this scenario, left to right. I'm going to show you how we flip it easily without flipping players. That's one of the things we love about air raid is that you can just make the call, all the receivers stay in the same place, and it just kind of mirrors to the other side. But why cross? I mean, this play is in the NFL every Sunday. This play is in college football. Literally half the teams that you see on a Saturday run this play, even if they're a run heavy offense, and then you see it in high school a lot. So why cross is truly a weak flood concept. And what I love about it so much is if you do follow the air raid program that we have, we run mostly quick game. And this concept, it's a mix of quick game and drop back game within the same play.
Mhm.
So I'm going to bring up my little cursor. Can you see my little arrow
Yep.
here?
Yep.
Okay, well, let's just use this. And so the way we're going to kind of talk about this concept is, as I said, it's a weak flood. So we're going to read it left to right. As you can see, I just numbered it here to make it easy. We're going to read it go cross dig, okay? And we see a lot of cover three out here.
Mhm.
Now, in 7-on-7, we'll also see a lot of two high, and I'm going to show you how this converts against the cover two as well. But the good thing is that we can still read this the same exact way we'd read it in a tackle season for our high school teams, okay? And so, as you can see, our number one receiver, whether you call him X or we would call him L because our far left receiver just stays on the left. He's going to run an outside release go route, okay? And the mandatory, that's the more go, mandatory outside release, and he's going to try to restack. And then we're going to read the cross later, next, and we have very specific rules for this crossing route, okay? So he's going to go, you can see the arrows here, he's going to go under the outside linebacker, but over the Mike linebacker, and he is going to aim for 22 yards downfield on the sideline. That's his goal, to get across this field 22 yards, and that's his landmark that he's looking for. And then the last read is this post dig, and he's going to try to settle in some grass between this dropping linebacker and this cornerback, okay? And so these other routes are this out route a lot of times is open, especially if it's cover three, and we do let our quarterbacks kind of eat that up. If it's short yardage or it's just wide open, we'll let them do it. But essentially, I do want to talk to you about this first read in this concept. But essentially, I just wanted to show the play, take you through a quick breakdown of like how we read it, and now I'm going to show you a little more details. But Coach, do you guys run anything like this for your? I know you run a lot of trips.
Yeah, we go in 7-on-7 we'll go pretty much just for me. We're pretty much 3-by-2. With
Yeah.
our center is eligible too, so it's really 6-on-7 in our 7-on-7 league. So do a lot of things when they could. Basically, in our league, he just throws the ball back to the queue and he could run out for a pass. So it's a little. Most leagues, the center is not eligible.
All right.
But
Yeah, we don't have.
yeah, no, this is essentially it's like a flood. It's a great cover three beater. You clear out with clear the corner, make the corner bail back. Speed out could be open fast too, especially if that outside backer or the flat players, on with inside leverage or playing off, just speed out it too, and that's good against pressure if he blitzes or anything. But yeah, it's a great cover three beater for sure. It's good against
Yeah.
man too. You're gonna have the Sam or whatever a defensive back covering the drag. If the cross, I'm sorry, if the cross is a good athlete, kid running it, he'll outrun him. And I think it's great against cover three, but it's one of those any coverage beater. You know, so
Exactly.
you got
And that's what
deep,
we
you
love
got
about there.
mid, and you got underneath. So got all the
Totally.
bases covered.
And so another reason why we love this play with our three quick game plays that we preach on our channel on Player Book, we always want to read the cornerback first. So as you can see, I've highlighted here. And so pre-snap, right? We're looking up and we're looking at this cornerback deep. And so we just ask the quarterback, our quarterback, the only pre-snap read that we ask him to make is your first read open by alignment? And we got it written up here. And essentially we're asking, on your first read, is the place where he's trying to go, is there someone back there or not? And as you can see, this cornerback sitting at 9-10 yards, and he's already back there. So the answer to that question is no. Now, post snap, we still want to look at him because, there are some coaches that want to get tricky, and maybe that cornerback comes down to a cover two look and they rotate or something like that. So we do need to look at him, but he already has information pre snap that there's a good likelihood that he is just going to drop back to the cover three, and then once we have seen that, again, we're not just going to base it pre-snap, but once we've seen it post-snap, then he's going to move on to this cross, who by that time should be able to be kind of behind that Mike linebacker. And as you said, like if this speed out is just wide open, we're going to eat on that all day, right? We'll take that. We'll always take a completion, and our H is usually like, if not our best athlete, our second best athlete for sure, like for sure. So we'll take it. But in 7-on-7, we're trying to get chunks of yards. So
Hmm.
typically, unless it's just wide open, we'll kind of just move on from that. Now, the great thing about this cross, like I said, it's under, over, and you got to just overly say that in practice. And while we're doing our routes in practice, it just needs to be drilled in their head. Full speed, under, over. The really great thing is once the quarterback and this crosser get on the same page, this is typically our Y, right? Y cross, obviously. If this safety bails out back like he mostly likely will in 7-on-7, he can just come up in front, and usually this play hits right about here, and it is just you can just get huge chunks of yards out of this, right? If he gets used to seeing this a little bit and he starts kind of cheating out over here, then once they get in good chemistry, he can kind of turn that up and do a vertical route. And like a lot of times in 7-on-7, that is usually the weak spot, especially because most teams out here in 7-on-7 do run kind of a too high look, and so I'll get into what that looks like later.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean it's a great concept. If that's say you hit them with the cross, and then you hit them again, and then the third time the safety try to kind of stay over the top on that, you have the seam. Even if that corner comes to help out from the other third, he still has outside leverage. So the ball thrown down the middle, replacing where the safety was, you got to play there too. It's really really tough concept to stop. And like we're big cover three. Like cover three, I'm the guy with the zone. You know what I mean? I love our cover three. So like we
yeah,
tell our safety too, he's got to be able to match the deepest vertical. Meaning if one goes vertical, then breaks to a post late, and we're not getting enough depth, he can't match that. If they
right.
hit us with a double move, a corner post or something, and our safety's flat, or the ball or the receiver gets behind him, we got a problem. So that'll leave this field even more open, honestly. And then, he's going to clear it. The mic isn't going to get underneath it. The corner will be cleared out. So this is a good, we would have to get pressure to really stop this, in my opinion. This would be a tough concept in cover three,
So do you
even
guys
seven
blitz a
on
lot?
seven or 11 on 11.
You guys get a blitz and stuff in your leagues?
Yes. Yep. We get one blitz every 4 downs.
Okay, so that's, yeah. I mean that's actually quite a bit, and so you can strategically kind of plan that out a little bit. Kind of mess around. Sometimes early on in the count, sometimes obviously on like third and long or whatnot. So that's interesting. Yeah, we don't have center eligible out here in California or many blitzes
Most
at all.
most areas don't. It's just
Interesting.
we're not. I'm not gonna say it's not competitive. It is. It's just like kind of 10 different towns in our area, which we end up playing these guys in regular season a lot too. But it's I don't know. It's just they want more kids to play. That's
Yeah, yeah.
really the reasoning behind it. Instead of kids sitting out, you could get one extra kid getting some plays. So, but it gets like too much though. You got all those eligible receivers. It's like, there's not enough room.
It
You
gets a
know.
little congested. All
So a
right,
lot
so
of
let me show you
times,
this.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, 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 go ahead. I was going to move on to the different coverage, but you can finish
No,
your
I
thought.
was gonna say with the extra player, like the center, we usually just treat one guy as like just have him on a hot, we call it, like maybe the tailback's next to the queue and he'll swing out if we are getting a blitz and we'll get an athlete in space, make them, grab our flag in space. But it's just a lot of people. I personally prefer having the center not eligible or just having the kid take snap right off the table or coach just throwing them the ball.
Yeah.
It's like too many people.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see different pockets of the country, how they do it. But, it is what it is. And if the kids are having fun, like you said, especially if it's middle school or youth, like that is the main goal, honestly. As competitive as we are as humans, right? If we got to get them to high school
Hmm.
and having fun. All right, so I just wanted to kind of show it. You mentioned cover one, and I just want to stress, like, when we ask that question, is your first read open by alignment? If they are manned up, if it's in the middle of the field, we're gonna this quarterback's going to take one step, take that rocker step, and we practice we call we call it pat and go to start to warm up. A lot of people call it easy ups, but we do this like one step and drop it in the bucket so much every practice that this is just like their eyes light up like I'm about to eat right now because we can just complete this pass in our sleep. And it's not much thinking about it. It's if that guy is that close, as long as that number one gets a release, we're going to get this ball up. As you can see, this post dig, just like any other thing, we have a snag play. A lot of people call it spot, you know, where you sit in grass. The post dig is the same thing. It converts to just to a post, right? Because there's no reason to sit in grass when you got when you got man coverage. So it kind of converts itself, and we rep it so much that the kids kind of know it without any signaling or anything like that. No one needs to talk about it. It's just okay. It's man. We know what we're doing.
Yeah, if
Okay.
you're getting cover one, the corner's pressed up, taking away inside leverage on the number one receivers like they should. I mean, this kid gets good outside release, dip that shoulder, outside release, go vertical. Corner's back is to the ball.
Yeah.
Like, and if your number one is a good athlete, he's probably going to make a play. So, you get press cover one, man, you go throw a touchdown. That's what we always say.
Exactly. And so let me show it to you against. This is usually what it looks like for us, at least, in 7-on-7. Too high, maybe it's cover two. Usually, sometimes you see cover four when teams just don't, when teams don't want to actually play a real defense, because we never see cover four out here in high school or middle school. But you see it a little bit in there. But essentially, too high safeties. This is where for us, like I think it's a cheat code, and I'm not saying anything that 7-on-7 coaches don't know, but a lot of big plays happen in the deep middle of the field, right? And so this cross, it's the same thing. We're going go, cross, dig, and when we ask our kids in practice, tell me fast, right? What's your progression on Y cross? Go, cross, dig, right? We want them to say it that fast. This cross, they learn as soon as they look up at the line of scrimmage and see two high safeties as they're doing their cross under over, and they're spying this guy. And if he is truly dropping to that deep, to that deep half over on the other side of the field, they turn this thing up vertical, and we've crushed. Like I said, I'm not going to take credit for crushing with this in the tackle season because it just takes a little long for middle school linemen to hold up that long. But in 7-on-7, when there's not pressure, this absolutely hits big quite a bit because they can just turn that vertical, and once they've done it in practice a few times, they can get on the same page and really hit this big time.
Split the safeties. Especially if that one gets an outside release. I mean, if they're playing cover two, these corners cannot give up that outside release. They gotta jam, funnel it in, funnel the receiver in and carry it a little bit. That's
Yep.
the only way. But even if they do that, like I would just tell the receiver if they're playing hard outside leverage, we'll just inside release a little bit, restack them and go vertical. And you still
Exactly.
get the same thing. So if they play too hard leverage, you're not really gonna get good hands on. So I'll just run straight. Dip that shoulder a little bit, get restack them or fade it out a little bit and go vertical. That's it. So it's a good
Totally.
concept, man. Get that safety off that half, and you just slice it right down the middle. We ran something very similar. We ran a snag. We ran a snag and go where we would split right down the middle. I
Um,
have it on our Instagram like a couple weeks ago of drawn up and then game film running it. It was so nasty. We'd snag, we run snag, and then they go too high. We would just friggin' just stop, just go like snag bluff. We called it.
I
So
like
it
that.
was really yeah. It's very similar to this. It was nasty.
Cool. Yeah, no, I like that idea. You got to show me that. And then lastly, just as I mentioned when we first started, one of the things I love about this concept in particular, but a lot of our plays like Y shallow and Y cross, literally the outside just switch responsibilities. We just call it star H cross instead of star Y cross. So
Yep.
the Y and the H literally, like I said on the last play, when it's Y cross, the H has a speed out and the Y has the cross. When it's H cross, now it literally flips. Y has a speed out and H has the cross. And on Y cross, the X has the outside release go and the Z has the post dig. And on H cross, they literally switch. So like we teach it in practice that way, like pretty consistently. So they just know like, hey, whatever direction, we don't need to flip receivers, we don't need to do anything. Everyone is doing the exact same thing. The T's not usually there. We don't run empty that much in the regular season. We do sometimes, but not enough to where this would come into play. So we kind of, kind of play around with what T does in here a little bit. He's kind of just an extra guy. We used to have running backs for our 7-on-7, but it seemed like such a waste of a player, right? We just rather have him in a route somewhere than sitting back there doing swing routes all day or angle routes. But yeah, so again, just the ease of teaching things that are repeatable, that are not complicated, that they can catch on to with a few practices. This is just one of those concepts where it's just if we say Y cross or H cross, they just literally switch responsibilities. And most of these Y's and H's are that type of player, and these outside receivers, right? Inside receivers are a type of player, and outside receivers are a type of player. So we kind of rotate them between those two positions when we're, especially in camp when we're trying to figure out who is who. So they kind of just generally figure it out that way anyway. But again, just like keep it simple. All the rules stay the same. Everyone's doing the same thing. And I just, this is one of my favorite 7-on-7 plays.
Yeah,
And
and
it is a true play that we run. It is a true 7-on-7 play where you can get chunk yardage, attack the middle of the field. It kind of checks all the boxes for me.
what I call an any coverage beater, man. It's this is if if you could only install so many plays, this is definitely one you should because it has an answer for any coverage. You're gonna see in our league, and you said it's same for yours pretty much is see cover three or cover one. I mean, we play cover three or cover one. We play
Yep.
cover three, cover one in the fall. We play it in 7-on-7 too. So we would have an issue with this, especially in 7-on-7. It's any coverage beater, man. They want to play man. You got the outside release, the vertical. You got the speed out. They play cover two. You slice them right down the middle. I mean, it's a good cover three beater. You're basically flooding the one side. They got, if they're in cover three, they really have only two defenders really outside the hash or by the numbers, and you're having pretty much three routes. You got the vertical, you got the cross, and you got the speed out. So can't cover three with two.
Yeah.
So one of them will be open. I mean, good zone team will play with depth. You want to climb, take away the two deep ones, and just rally to anything short. But still, there's always, always someone open. So it's a great concept that you could just. It's good against any coverage. So it's definitely one people should install, especially on 7-on-7.
Yeah. It's just like, there's just like for tackle coaches, and we already talked about it a little bit, but you want to stay true to the game, but you want to compete, and it's hard not to. And there's only a few plays that kind of check all those boxes. So
I
yeah,
think honestly, it's still good in 11-on-11. I think you could take the tailback, put him off set next to the quarterback. You could use him as a pass blocker. You got a 6-man protection then. And in 11-on-11, teams still have to respect the run. They still have to defend the entire width of the field. So yeah, you could say, oh, you got to bring pressure, but you could built in pressure beaters. Quick seam, like the not quick seam, quick out. That's a good blitz beater. You could push the running back out. That's a good blitz beater. So, you know, it's good on 7-on-7 for sure, but I think it could be good also on 11-on-11. Honestly,
yeah. I mean, I guess
you could make some changes. You could, have the back block. You could slide protect one way, have the back, face out the other way. So it's a lot you can do, honestly. So I think
yeah.
it's good for both. Maybe I'll run this at a 3-by-1, probably.
Yeah, I mean, if I would definitely suggest the running back block, and that was my only. That's always been my only concern with it. And honestly, like when I was last coaching eighth grade, I had one of my quarterback coach from the year before. He went down and coached the seventh grade team, and he had a ton of success with this. He was a quarterback in high school, so maybe he learned. Maybe he knew how to teach it a little bit better than I. But as a coaches, you do find concepts for whatever reason that you can teach better than someone else, and vice versa. Someone else can teach it better than you. So, it all kind of comes down, as we always say, like it's not what you know. It's kind of like what the players can learn, right, and what they can learn from you. And I guess maybe some of our biases can kind of come into play with that. a
Hmm.
little bit too, right? Like, what are we comfortable coaching?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's a great concept. I like it. I'm not scared about the pressure either. If teams want to blitz, whatever, there's stuff you can do. Like depending who's blitzing from where, the receiver could just turn and replace that blitzer. You know what I mean? If that will comes off the edge, boom, just bang it right out to the H. Like
Mhm.
you could kind of disguise that too. You do we do a lot of no play. We'll go through our cadence once, getting some spread stuff here. We're getting more spready each year. It seems like, but coming from like a wing T guy, but like we'll go through our cadence once, and then it kind of gets them to show. As long as we don't jump off sides, of course. So like, there's a lot you can do, man. Like the biggest thing when I put out some kind of any concept, whether it's our 3x1 or any kind of passing concept where you're spreading the field, they're like, oh, I'm gonna bring pressure, kill that. Like that's everyone's answer, and I think it's true to an extent. Coming from a guy that runs a 3-5 stack where we're sending one or two a lot, like you got to be careful. There's ways you could beat the blitzes with this. So you
Totally.
know,
Yeah.
I think
Okay,
it's a
cool.
long story short, a great concept. I think people want to blitz us, so be it. It's whatever. We're just gonna get good.
Well, let me show you real quick what it looks like in our portal, um, because I think one thing that we like to stress, and the whole reason I created, and I'm going to share my other screen here. Um, the whole reason we created playerbook.com was, like I mentioned earlier, it is a tool. I'm sorry, I'm going to get there. It is a tool that, while it does kind of show itself as a video game to the players, what the real concept is the interactive whiteboard, right? So coaches are taking the kids into a classroom, drawing on the whiteboard, and trying to teach like firsthand with it. And what we can do with this is, yes, you can take your computer into a classroom, project it onto the wall, but instead of drawing on the whiteboard, you're drawing and projecting. And let me bring it up here. You're projecting literally with in a web tool, right? So the players and you, or the great thing is you can do it online, right? And just literally do it on Zoom or whatever platform you might use. And I'm going to get into this now. Let me open up the screen if I can find it.
What I always liked about Player Book, and we talked a lot about this too, was just getting the mental reps. Like we only have like 2 hours of practice 3 days a week, so this is a great way for kids to see it, get that the mental reps of your concepts. So that's what I like about it. And then you could add the defense you're playing too, which is great. So they could get reps while they're at home, mental reps of their reads at home. That's what I like about
Exactly. Okay, cool. Can you see that right now?
it. Hmm.
Okay, cool. So we've already kind of put templates in here. And so just imagine this is your whiteboard, and you can just draw on here. Okay, so we're going to go, like we said, outside release go. We're going to go speed out, right? We're going to go, here's the cross, so we're going to go under the outside linebacker over the other one. Since it covered two, we're going to take it vertical up here. And so everything that we're drawing is you're programming in the mobile video game exactly what they're going to see on the field in the game, right? And so we love it. And let's just say this guy, this is a little bit different setup, but something I would probably do with him is kind of play around with the extra receiver, and then this guy runs a post dig. And so literally you're drawing in exactly what the defense, so these lines for the blue, that's a cover two, right? He's just going to kind of sink back and kind of come forward in a video game. And what the great thing about this tool is I can click on this Z receiver and decide which points I'm going to give to the player, so he knows if he chooses the right receiver, he's going to get the points, and if the game's going to like celebrate, and he's going to be able to like catch the ball and run with it. Now, if he chooses the wrong receiver, let's just say, you know, because this guy's going to be sitting in the flat, this is the incorrect receiver, so we're going to go select this. Now, if your quarterback can hit a hole shot, I wouldn't say that this is the correct receiver, but I would say it's okay if he can hit a hole shot. Okay, so he's for an okay one, he's going to get some points. Now, the correct receiver in this, right? Because this guy is dropping out, and let's redraw this. So, okay, he wants to get vertical with this guy, right, and try to go attack that. So since he's doing that, this receiver, if we've taught him right, as he clears this linebacker, he's going to see this safety going deep to the outside. So this, I'd say, is the correct receiver, and I'm going to mark him as that. So in the game, again, if he was to select the wrong receiver, the ball would go incomplete. He would get no points, and we are not we are reinforcing that he chose the wrong guy. But if he chooses this guy, he's going to throw a beautiful pass. The guy's going to catch it, and now we're reinforcing, hey, that was a great read. You didn't really want to throw the whole shot, which, you know, if they can or can't, that just depends on the quarterback. But we're never going to say he shouldn't or he should, because like it depends. But what we really want to train is this behavior, right? And then also with the post dig, we see this safety kind of dropping out, and this corner sitting in here. So there is a little bit of a hole here, right? So his read is go, cross, dig. So we also say, okay, that's okay if you hit the dig. I'm good with that. But we don't want this flat receiver. You know, there's going to be someone here in the flats if they do run cover two like they're supposed to. So he's incorrect. And so really what the whole point of this tool is, not only do we obviously want to teach by exactly what I'm doing right now, you can teach the quarterbacks exactly this way, but really what they're doing is they're identifying who they're supposed to be looking at in a virtual format on their phone at home, right? So now they're looking at this cornerback on the game, right? What's he doing? Okay, he's sinking back, so I don't really want to throw back there because he's sinking back. Now my eyes go to the Y and this safety, and based on what I'm seeing literally happening in this virtual game that looks like Madden to some degree, it's not perfect yet, but it is, you know, 3D football players. Based on what I'm seeing by identifying the right people, I can choose, right? And that's really what we want, Jeff, right? Them looking for the right reads and basing it off their movement. And if they can just take those mental reps on a regular basis at home, on the couch, on the toilet, like whatever they're doing, when they get to the game, it's going to speed up their decision making. And that really, you know, that's at the heart of it all, man. That's what we're trying to do: speed up their decision making by letting them identify exactly what's going on.
And it makes practices more efficient. If the kid's got it down, you know, running a couple times, time with it, you know, okay, he's got it. So you could get those mental reps in, you know, and visually seeing it, regardless if it's a 3D player on a phone or on the play designer here, it doesn't matter. They're still gonna see that alignment, you know. So I think it's good. As many reps as you can, you know, you get these kids as many reps as you can, and they don't have to be at practice to get these reps. You know, these mental reps, boom, boom, boom. They see it, then they're going to see it in practice, and they're going to see it in the game, and you know, they'll be good to go.
And just as you said, like, not only is it that they're seeing it, but this is how coaches have been using it. And you can see kids are playing it right now as we speak, February 19th at 22. They're playing it this moment right now in wherever they're at. But these are the reports that they get back. So, you know, this coach, his play is dual Vandy against a 4-4 defense cover 3. So he's looking and he can see his players have been correct on their pre-snap keys that the coach wanted to put in there. So we can program the pre-snap test, if you will, that we care. Like I always say, is your first read open by alignment? This coach probably had like, is the middle of the field open or closed? Those type of pre-snap reads. They can see that he threw to the X receiver, which was the correct receiver, and how fast he threw it. So really, to your point, Jeff, not only are they stealing reps at home, but if you go in here and see that, okay, this kid is crushing it, again, for this concept, we can just like talk about it real quick at practice and then really find, like, based on the data, not what I think, based on data, these are the ones that we don't get, and let's work on the ones that we don't get versus if he already has Miami down, I'm good. If he has Vandy down, let's get a couple reps, make sure that it matches. But then now we can focus the meat and potatoes of our practice on what actually needs to be talked about, right? And that's, for me, that's why I created this tool in the first place. So coaches can really hone in and optimize, and practices every year, Jeff. I don't know about you. In California, we went from 2.5 hour practice down to 2 hour practice. Now they're talking about hour and a half practices.
Get 2 hours, 3 days a week.
Yeah, exactly. And it used to be 5 days a week, right? So like we're losing because safety, and I'm all about safety. Don't get me wrong, but we need to find ways to get reps outside the field. And
Yeah,
so
100%. And this is a good, good way to do it.
yeah, so cool, man. And then so one thing that we're literally creating version 2 of this, just so you know, what I was showing you with the tool of drawing it up right now. You can't see, except on the phones, the actual gameplay, but we are putting a button in here. Literally, it's going to come out in March where you can press a button and then both of you at the same time can see the 3D game pop up, and they will at that point be able to see the players moving around just like in the same.
Okay,
So
cool.
it'll be a little easier to kind of go back and forth and talk through it, draw it, then show it, draw it, then teach it, teach it, teach it, and then they go home and play it by themselves on their phone, and they can like do the scoring and everything else that we talked about. So that's one of the cool features that we're adding. Should be ready in March.
Yeah, very cool. And this would be something good for my quarterback this year because I'm going down to a new group that struggled. Uh, Quarterback play is a little. Hopefully they don't see this. It needs work. But we could if we could get these reps in now, could get a head start.
Yeah, I mean, dude, and that's quarterback play. I mean, I know not everyone loves California and not everyone loves the Niners, but until this year, and we're just going to take this year's season out of, we're not going to judge any Niner on this year, except maybe Brandon Ayuk. But, everyone, it was just a terrible season for everyone. But Brock Purdy, for me, is like such a great example of, you know, he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, he's not the fastest, but he's going to make $50 million a year for the next 10 years because his brain, not because his arm, not because he's big and fast and muscular and all that. It's his brain. So, like, if we can get these kids understanding how to read a defense, um, there's we can put linemen back there, and it doesn't matter. I just want someone that can read a defense and throw to the right guy on a consistent basis. And I don't care what he looks like. I don't care what he does. I don't care how fast he is. Give me that guy. I'm gonna win some games, whether it's tackle or
All the
center.
other stuff you could work on. It's the arm strength, accuracy. You just get that by practicing. But the mental part of it is what's critical. When you don't have to think and the game becomes faster for you, you just become better. Like you just like you said, it's all about mental.
Period.
And again, the biggest thing with this program, man, is just giving these kids these extra reps at home, man. Because I just don't have the practice time to be doing. We got to do defense, got to do kicking game, we got to do situational stuff. There's a lot to do. You can't just sit here running, pass concepts all day. So,
Yeah.
and it is good too because I know youth football. People say you got to run the football, which is, I guess it's true. Coming from a guy who runs the ball, but we probably pass more than anyone in our league. It's not even close. But like you're gonna have to throw the football at some point, so you better
Mhm.
practice it, right?
Yeah.
Like so, you're gonna have to throw the football at some point. So
Yeah, and you can't throw effectively if you don't practice it. That's the main thing I tell people. Like, you just have to build in nowadays a certain, like, if you're not a full air raid team and we practice passing more than we practice running, and dude, I'm a running back. I love running the rock, dude. But even if you're a run heavy team, you got to give some time to passing the ball these days. Because if you don't, it's just going to get ugly when you do, and people will be able to just stack the box and take advantage of you, man. So you're not going to be good at passing unless you practice it. It's just one of those things you just have to work
and
that
think
muscle.
about it like this too. Like how much do teams work on pass coverage? Like not as much. There's not a lot of time. I mean, we work a lot on our cover three. I think we work on pass coverage more than anyone else, but that's not. I'm not speaking for everyone. People
Mhm.
can't. Well, that's why we're throwing more, because they're not working man to man. And think about it like this. Here's another thing too. Out here, like teams, if we go 2-by-2 or 3-by-1 with an up tight end. We're usually 3-by-1 with an up tight end. They bump out linebackers to cover our inside receivers.
Mhm.
How maybe your corners are practicing man, but how much in that individual period are those outside linebackers practicing man? So those quick outs, like they're not going to cover it. That's what like we hit our number two so much. Like our best pass concept at 3-by-1 was literally post out. It was
Mhm.
literally post from one, out from two. Our three was kind of like an eight, really a true receiver's an H. A lot of
Mhm.
times he blocked and we pushed it back out for flat. So we kind of high low to corner if he sits. We got the out, but we hit that out. I told the kid just throw the out, especially if they're off coverage or even if they're playing press. Just look for the out. So it was like they're not, and they were bumping. A lot of teams were bumping out their outside linebacker covering. Corner went to one, outside backer to two, and they were getting caught looking in backfield action.
Mhm.
And they just weren't able to cover it.
Dude.
Snag, stick, and post out were our three best concepts out of 3-by-1.
And
Just
honestly,
because we
man,
abused the kids covering our 2 and 3 receiver. That's
yeah,
what it
and
was.
it's a mismatch. And what I found, and I was telling you about the my quarterback coach that went down and coached the 12U team. What you're saying is so true. Not only, and what is counterintuitive to us as coaches, like, oh, the younger you get, the less consistent you can throw and catch. First of all, they've been playing flag since they're three, so that they've been wanting to play this style. But most of all, my point is, it gets actually easier the lower you get because of exactly what you're saying. There's no coaches. They're not worried about coaching up man defense in sixth grade or 12U. They're not worried about like, oh, should this cover two corner sink back and then come forward and play trick, kind of a trickery cover two, like Patrick or Sherman type of deep. Like they're not. No one's coaching that. They're not worried about it. They're worried about stacking the box and stopping the beast offense or
We do
whatever it is.
some beast. We run some
Yeah,
beast.
no, dude, you got to have that in the package. I just can't stand it when teams out here like they do that all game. It drives me nuts. But whatever. That's neither here nor
It's a
there.
little tip, man. Take advantage of the defenders bumping out to your number 2 or 3 receiver. I could guarantee you, they're not gonna be as good in man coverage. They may be some of your best, most aggressive athletes, but like a lot of times we had one really good receiver. We would put him at number they still wouldn't match it. Playing man, you should put your best cover guy on our guy. If we're playing
Mhm.
man, you put your best kid inside. I really don't want my outside linebacker covering him because they're not going to match. Like they're not going to go dime nickel, like that pros did. They're not going to put 3 corners on the field for 3 receivers or an extra DB in. Right? They're going to bump out linebackers. So like what we learned is just abuse that because they don't know how to cover. They're a linebacker. They're aggressive. They're caught looking in backfield action because we do spread the field and run, which is a thing. Like
Dude, that's huge. That's
I
huge.
can't tell you like, oh, you run the spread. You can run the spread in you. We spread the field and run it down team's throat all every fucking game, every
Yep.
damn game. So like you could throw to run the ball too. Like their eyes are get caught in backfield action. We're gutting them on post out. They get eye discipline. All right, I'm really gonna lock into my guy now. We just run the ball. You lose a player to insert himself in the box, or we run them off and they're useless. So it's like a lot of
It's a
misconceptions about the spread and threat, and I don't have to preach the stuff to you, I'm sure, but it's a lot of misconceptions about like
Well, my
running.
whole last 5 years has been kind of talking through this with coaches. Like, dude, like it's literally a 7 yard pass. Like it is a high percentage pass in a mismatch situation. So we run go just like you saw on this crossing concept. One of our quick games starts off with the go and speed out, and that by itself is just a high percentage play, like you're saying, because the outside linebacker, and then you layer in some of these quick screens, and slants and snags, and these are all 5 to 10 yard passes that when you see a 5 or 6 man front or 7 to 8 man box, it's you're eating, right? And my biggest thing is like coaches that have been so stuck in this, oh, I see an 8 man box, that means I need another tight end, right? Instead of saying, there's an opportunity here. to just, if we can just get the ball outside of this box, it's a home run. Like I'm getting chunks, like chunks and chunks,
Absolutely.
if not back breaking touchdowns, right?
And
So
listen,
it's
if we go in our diesel for we call it diesel. It's 3x1. If they don't match our three with three, we could throw it now to any one of our receivers. We could throw it now to one. We could throw it now to two. That's we'll just go. We literally just do that. We make the read for the quarterback a lot of the times.
oh, for sure.
I mean, it's easy for them. All they got to do is count numbers, and then we're throwing catch 12, 13-yard throw to our best athlete with separation. He's going to make a play in space, especially if I put my best kid there. And they don't respect that. They don't pull the safety over, or they don't, they don't bracket him, or they don't really lock into him. We're just going to gut him with it. Don't respect the spread. And this is your point. It's literally not hard to throw an Lasker. I don't really like the bubbles because I feel like it's harder to complete. I think it's just harder to catch, harder to complete, and that's just my opinion. I like the now we literally just turn, get some distance because we want it to be an open field play too. If we could get a little more separation, that's fine. Sometimes we might be a little too far back on the now than people like, but we always tell let's make this to an open field tackle. Make me tackle my back in space. And if you watch, I could even send you some of my personal YouTube of my team running it. You'll see the spread concept mixed in off buck. Like when we spread the field and run buck, all we got to say is now. We check, we throw it. Everyone else runs buck. And sometimes we just say now. Oh, now. And then we just catch, throw. Easiest thing. Did it with 7-year-olds. Like, it's so there's a lot to it.
Dude, and it's like such an easy way to build in a path. I mean, we did the same thing. We don't do buck. We do GT counter, which is basically the same thing. Two linemen pulling, but it's always
Get a kick
attached.
out and a rat player. Same thing.
And it's just for our bubble. So for 8th grade and below, we actually do a pedal screen, right? So literally, it's not like a true bubble like high school, where like to your point, we don't do the true bubble because like it's that he's sideways and it's a small target to hit and he's moving. So we literally have our kids backpedaling down the line of scrimmage with their chest out, but they're moving backwards. So it's a little easier target to hit. But to your point, it literally is paired, and this is what we teach day one. If the receivers out there, if we have 3 receivers and they have 2 defenders, and we don't count the safeties, and we automatically, everyone knows we are running the bubble screen. The linemen are still running GT. Now, if it's 3-on-3 out there, he's just going to turn and hand it to the running back.
Yeah,
and
that's
the
all we want. We want to spread the
GT.
field to take people out of the box.
Dude, and that is the power spread. I just did a podcast with Terrence Banks from Georgia. He's a highly successful high school coach in Georgia. He's crushing it with the power spread, and that's all he does. Like I just spread the box and I just run power down their throat because they got to match me personnel wise. And all these high level OCs in high school and college, when I ask them what their favorite concept is, they come back to me like, that's not. You think about personnel. You make the mismatch, right? And that's what Shanahan and the guy, the Rams coach McVay, they kill you with like you got to choose which personnel you're putting out against me, and I'm going to run the concept that kills that personnel. Like they don't care about. They know all the concepts. That to them it's all interchangeable. They can run what they can run. They just want to find the mismatch with the personnel, and then once they do that, they got you.
Like we're just gonna run when we go 3x1. I like running formations, running the plays that give me the most problems from a defensive alignment standpoint. Like for me, I don't mind facing 2x2. I mean, it's 4 verts is tough with our cover 3 against 2x2, but we have answers for that. But like 3x1 with a nub tight end for me has been a problem. Sometimes if we have a really good receiver, you could play those games. You could isolate him 1-on-1, make them make a decision. You're gonna man up 1-on-1 with my best kid, who's clearly might be better than you. But like 3x1 is a tough formation for me to line against. I feel like there's really not a lot they could do. It's got zone beaters in it. You could run vertical from 1, out from 2, speed out from 3. They're in cover 3, cover 4. It doesn't matter what cover zone they're in, they can't cover all three. So, and if they play man, they're going to bump out outside linebackers or roll down a safety, and they're not going to be as good covering, or they're going to leave the middle of the field open. So, like, that's the 3-by-1, man, is the nastiest formation. When I try to beat myself from a defensive standpoint or try to stop things, because I'm actually defense coordinator. Like,
Right.
you know, I kind of do a lot of offense, but like at heart, I'm a DC. I'm going back to being, but
Nice.
like 3-by-1's tough, and then tight end with the wing back is a tough formation from a pass and a run standpoint. So everything we do is a lot out of 3-by-1 or out of our wing T with the tight end and wing back flank is nasty because you got two eligible receivers and a run strength. And then we were kind of putting three receivers there, and then a tight end and a wing back to the opposite. And then we had a mobile quarterback, which is nice. They don't respect the three. We got the now. They play zone, flood. They play man. We got man beaters. You just run flood and beat them with man. Beat them on an out, beat them on a quick out, or we take their ass deep vertical. And if they respect it, they're locked up, they're disciplined. They gotta pull three defenders from somewhere. The corner's on one, outside backs go on two. What are you gonna take the middle back or go on three? If you're playing man, how are you gonna line today? You're gonna roll the safety down? You almost can't play man against 3-by-1, in my opinion. If we cover three, we have to. So like it's gonna pull people out of the box, and if it doesn't, we're just gonna throw it to our number two, and you tackle him.
Totally. Yeah, I stay in
I
three by.
mean, we go on all night about this. So.
Totally. I definitely stay in three by. I mean, I do like 2-by-2. But if I'm on the hash, and our hashes for high school and youth are so far to the hash, like I just live in 3-by-1 because there's so many things I can do out of that. I totally agree. And then the last thing I'll say is into the boundary, 3-by-1 to the field, running your counter or buck to the nub. Oh my gosh, bro, that's a cheat code. If people don't do that enough because, like you said, they are putting most of their personnel to the field, and you can hit that counter into the boundary, and it pops so much.
We almost always have a tight end. I'm big with the tight end guy. I don't know, maybe it's the wing T, direct snap stuff. I like having a tight end. It just presents run strength and pass. You gotta account for him in a run game. Provides an extra gap. If he could catch the ball, great. So it's just I like having a run strength to one side, pass strength to the other, and we just go from there. One word play calls we do, and that's it. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's like we're talking about personnel. You can mess with a lot of coaches' minds. Now, sometimes it doesn't work when the other coach doesn't think that deeply. But if if you are playing a high level coach, you can start outwitting them with personnel.
We literally just get pressure. Anytime we go 3-by-1, team send pressure. We just now on the death or speed out onto that.
And
Post out is what we do.
That's a huge point because that is everyone's first. If they think you're a passing team, that's everyone's first thing. It's like I'm just gonna make them prove it. And if you can get the ball out to the sides against that pressure, you got at least a quarter of just eating before they. Sometimes they don't adjust to it, to be honest. But you got at least a quarter or two of just getting the ball out and just getting big chunks of yards for sure.
And it's simple. You could use simple. We literally do this, and that's our slip screen. So you want to pressure us? We call it money because it always hits. So it always hits. We have a lot of on our slip screen on our YouTube too. So if people want to check that, it's a nasty play.
Yeah,
So you want to pressure us? Like I get it, but we have answers for it. Pressure me. I don't get scared because people say they want to blitz me. I really don't. So we have answers for it.
It's honestly opportunity. You should
Absolutely.
be getting the kids should be getting excited when they see that because that's home runs. Behind all that pressure, it's just a home run waiting to happen.
Absolutely. All right, Coach. Well, I'll let you get off. This went on for like almost an hour. I'm not surprised. Once we get talking, you get me all fired up. I'll never let you get off. But I appreciate you coming on, and definitely want to get you on here again soon. And we talk about some things we're going to work on together. So, let's keep that going. And I'm ready to go, man.
Yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate you letting me be the maiden voyage, dude. Like I said, we've always have a good time talking ball, and we